So today is the day that we're going to fence off this little corner area that I cleaned out a couple weeks ago, and make it another viable garden space. So yeah, we'll take you guys along for that, show you how we put our fence up, and it's pretty simple. So the first thing we have to do to get this fence going is to get rid of anything that would stand in the way, like these mesquite bushes, well, trees, but they're young trees, and the weeds here so that we have a straight line coming out as far as we need to. We have helpers. So these mesquite trees are just like big bushes. If you let them just come up from the ground, they just grow like a big thorny bush. And this tool is not something I mentioned in my video I did about my gardening tools, but it's called a Pulaski, and it works really well to dig up horehound without too much effort. You can just, especially the dead ones, you just can go through and ream them out. It works really well, and then you can just rake it all into a pile and get rid of it. So this is still part of the cleanup process that we're doing here to get ready to put this fence up. This gate right here is a really old gate, and we noticed it's starting to kind of fall apart and lean in and everything. So another project that we have is to rebuild this gate. So because it's what keeps our cute little roosters in their place. So yeah, this is all part of the process of getting ready to be able to string this fence from where we want it here at this post and be able to come out here somewhere to, and we'll drive a fence post in to anchor it. This pitchfork works really well to pick all of these up and take care of them rather quickly. It was the one I used also for grabbing my wood chips. It has the tines close enough together that not very much falls through, so it works really good. Having the right tool for the job is very beneficial. It saves time and energy. We're going to salvage this fence post that was taken from a construction job. It has a little bit of a bend in it, and we're going to straighten it back out and use it. It's pretty easy to do if you have the angle right. I'm not one of those people that figures it out easily, but yeah, so totally usable now. So now we're going to measure off the appropriate length where we want it with a tape measure, and just put a little dab of paint there to keep the spot. And then we'll do it from the other corner the same way, just to get it to the right area where we're going to drive the corner post. So now we're going to put this fence post driver on the end of it. And I say we, but anyway, it's in the proper spot now. And this post still has a little bit of a bend in it, but you can fix that once it's driven into the ground too. But it's perfectly fine to use this way. And so if you don't have someone to hold your string line or your measuring tape or something, you can take a screwdriver and drive it into the ground around the loop of the line or the measuring tape, and it will hold it in place while you string it out, so that you can have an accurate an accurate way of measuring it. And also, when you're driving these posts in, you want to make sure that these little nubs on the fence posts are facing outwards, so that the fence, whatever type of fencing you're going to be using, can kind of grip to the outside or whatever side of the fence post that you're going to be using. You want them facing the fence. So that's just something that is helpful. So these are highway delineator posts that are going to be reused. Your tax dollars at work, they would have been thrown away, but because after they get pulled out of the ground, they get bent, as you can see, and they're not, they aren't able to reuse them. But we're just going to remove the hardware and stuff off of here and use them as braces for those short spans of fence, and we'll show you how that works. So yeah, this is what we took off of that post. And these are, we still have the bolts and stuff, and this really nice thick piece of aluminum that can be reused for a lot of different things. Here's a quick example of what we use that type of thing for. We used one of these to mount this electrical outlet onto this post. Very sturdy, very stable, and just very effective. So they're useful for a lot of different things. We're going to cut this fence post into a couple pieces for braces as well. So. This isn't fence related, but this is just another example of what we have used these highway delineator posts for as an anvil tie down. It is just super sturdy and really helps keep that anvil in place, and can't beat the cost. Okay, this is part of the brace for this fence, the corner of this fence. We have this highway delineator post and then part of a fence post that we cut, and it just keeps everything really stable on a short stretch of fence like this. Here's the angle. Yeah. That's not going anywhere. And then you do the same thing on the other side. And if you're lucky, you don't hit a rock going in there. So. And here you have an excellent brace for your fence. And well, yeah, you tie it in up here at the top so that it's stable there as well. This is some chain link that we got from Habitat for Humanity. We got several rolls for like $5 or $10. and they've just been stored until we needed to use them. So we're taking a heavier gauge wire here to create a loop at the bottom that we can stick our fence post in. It'll be our gate post, so that it will be secured at the bottom, so it doesn't move back and forth at the bottom and nothing can pull it out to get in there from the bottom of the gate. It's a very rustic way to create a closure for a gate, but it works really well. We have it on several of our gates that are just wire gates. It's really helpful. So now we're trimming down the stays that we're going to use to strengthen the fence, and to also give animals, whether it be horses or cows or something that might be, which we do have them come in from time to time, it gives them a bit of a warning that there's a fence here. Sometimes they don't see the fence itself, but they would see these stays. So keeps them from running through it or hurting themselves. So the top here is the same. We use a double strand of wire that this gate post here will be attached. It'll be attached to the chain link, and we're going to trim this off a little bit here so that we can raise this loop up over it, or put it down and have it be secured. And once the chain link is secured to this post, then we can start pulling it along the fence line. So here's where we're attaching the chain link to the gate post with tie wire. You're just taking a strand of it and wrapping it through the chain link and around the post, and then twisting it a couple times to make sure it stays in place and is very sturdy. Do it 3 or 4 times along the post here, or the stay. We're calling it the gate post at this point. And just knock the wire back towards the post there so that it doesn't catch your clothes. I've had numerous pairs of pants get ripped because of a stray wire sticking out. So even when you try your best to make sure they don't do it, they still can get you. These little pliers are awesome. they work in so many awesome ways. I can't even count. I've used them a lot myself. So that's the chain link attached to what we are using as a gate post. And this is removable. Like, we can take these loops off, like take the top loop off and move the bottom, so we can fully open this if necessary, or I can just open the top and step through. It's very reliable and pretty easy to make. So now that the chain link is being pulled all along the fence line here, and go around the corner here and all the way over to the end point, and then come back and start tying it and pulling it taut so that it doesn't have this kind of sway in it like that. There's no point in trying to do it as you go. So, I mean, I guess you could, but this is how we're doing it. So, yeah. And then you just tie it off to each fence post, and you have a very sturdy gate and fence. So you basically do the same thing along the fence post here as I was showing with the gate post there. You just go along and tie it to the fence post in increments. It probably only needs 3 or 4 places where you tie it in place. And chain link isn't that difficult to work with. And relatively speaking, it might be cheaper. You can find it used a lot of times than fencing like this. So it's really not that hard to work with. It can be a little bit of a pain. It kind of likes to stick to itself now and then. You might have to pull it apart or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty easy to work with, and it's a good. I like the spacing in the holes in between. Like it's way better than just having something like this for a garden. I mean, obviously, this is way too big of holes unless you do something like we did here and put chicken wire up a certain height so that rabbits and skunks and things like that can't just walk right through. You still might have difficulty with things that can climb over and stuff like that, but yeah, this is I like chain link. Now that we've got the fence pulled taut and it's all attached at each fence post and the corner here, come down to the end over here and you can see that there's still some left on the roll, and we're not going to cut that. We're just going to leave it right there because there might come a time where we want to take this fence down. And there's no point in cutting just a few feet off of a roll. It's kind of a waste. So we'll just leave that there for some potential future use. And now what will happen is we'll come through in between each of these fence posts and put a stay, one of these wooden stays to strengthen it. And like I said, to kind of alert any larger animals that there is something here that they might not want to go through. So that's next. Well, that's a project all done. I'm happy to say, as I walk through the alley here between my gardens, you can see this is where the new space starts. Here's the gate post. I won't open it because it takes 2 hands and I'm holding my phone here, but all you have to do is push this post towards the fence and then pull this loop up over it, and you can pull the top open and just step over, or you can take the the gate post out of the bottom loop and pull the whole thing open so that you can get a wheelbarrow in there or something like that. It's very primitive, but it works great as a gate to keep things out. So now I will say this chain link will not keep things like skunks out as it is right now. If I want to do that, I'm going to have to put chicken wire or something like that across the bottom so that they can't go through, because I've seen skunks go through this size hole of chain link. So they can definitely do it. If their head can fit through, so can their body. Anyway, I'm super happy to have 400 square feet of usable space here, and I really like it being here because, as you can see right on the other side, we've got roosters in there, and when I clean their pens out, like I clean their coop out, I can just bring that into this garden as mulch or whatever. And I can also, when I have scraps from the garden that I want to give chickens, I can just throw them over the fence and they can have it. It's very convenient. But this is a really useful space. I like that it's right next to the other garden as well, because my shed is right there, and all I really would have to do if I need a tool or something is go in there and set it over the fence, and it's right here. So it is somewhat about convenience, but it's also about being able to use space effectively. So, and while I won't say that building a fence is easy, because it does take labor, and obviously it takes materials, and if you don't have the materials on hand already, you will, of course, have to get them somewhere, buy them, or come across them somehow. So there is that. But for us right here, right now, this didn't cost us anything today except a few hours of our time and some labor. So I hope you all enjoyed watching this. We really enjoyed creating this space to be useful for us. So yeah, glad to share it with everyone.